The scene opens with a wolf doing some serious self-care grooming, when our protagonist calls out to Master Hwan, and apologizes for the smell. He looks confused and asks, "What smell?" then casually sniffs her hand and says her fragrance is actually getting stronger. He pulls her closer and asks if she truly doesn't realize it, because he hasn't slept for nights, was howling for her across the mountains like a heartbroken main character, and somehow ended up finding her waiting in his cottage. There's a deep rumbling sound in the air, basically a warning that something intense is going on, and Hwan admits he loves her scent and softly calls her Lady Yeon. That's when she finally realizes he's not human at all, but a huge wolf, and not just any wolf, the biggest one she's ever seen. He calmly asks what's so wrong about one beast loving another, then drops the final bomb, by saying she'll be staying with him during this very serious wolf instinct season. In this huge and crazy world, there are beings called demihumans, people born half human and half beast, like bear types, tiger types, leopard types, and of course, wolves. Some live peacefully with humans, some want nothing to do with them and stick to their own kind, and others would love to blend in but can't because their human form is not quite perfect. Still, they all have feelings, lots of them, just like normal people, even if their wild side sometimes acts up. Unlike humans, demi-humans can eat as much fresh meat as they like without a care in the world, and every once in a while, they enter a special destiny season, where they must find their one true partner. During this time, they release a very strong and unique scent, and their nights become so intense and chaotic that humans wouldn't survive even imagining it. Some wolves are sitting around gossiping about Yeon, whispering that she's pregnant, saying she first blamed weight gain, then called it a false alarm, and after disappearing for a month or two, they assume she must have been with some useless nobody, yet she's walking around with zero shame, which just makes them feel bad for Rang. They complain that Yeon already has enough stress leading a massive pack while expecting, and on top of that, she has to deal with her problem child sister too, since Yeon is the strong alpha, and her sister Yeon is the weak omega. And in their minds, there's only one possible male who could be responsible. Cut to Yeon picking berries when Daegwang shows up, and she immediately tells him to stop flirting every time they meet, reminding him that he belongs to Rang now, or has he forgotten? And does she really need to remind him that he's the one who got her pregnant? He keeps pushing anyway, clearly not thinking straight, saying he's only ever liked her, that he was forced to be with Rang, and that no matter how many others he chases, none of them compare to Yoon's scent. Yeon snaps back that he was the same guy who told her her scent was too strong and told her to stay away from the pack, and he admits he only said that because he was scared other males would notice her. He even claims he's willing to accept that scent of hers and tells her to stop living under her sister's shadow, but Yeon shuts him down, saying she doesn't want Yeon's position at all. Things get messy when he grabs her and starts demanding to know who she was with during that Destiny season, throwing out names like Cheol and Sik, admitting he was too scared of Rang to even face her properly, and Yeon finally loses it, kicks him away, and tells him to go take care of Rang and raise a whole pack with her. But before things can calm down, Rang appears and coldly asks what Yeon thinks she's doing in her territory. Yeon calls Rang over, and Rang immediately grills Daegwang about what he's doing there, reminding him that she warned him to stay away from her sister, yet he ignored her and caused a huge mess. Yeon quickly says it's not what it looks like and shoves Daegwang aside, then blurts out that she's not even pregnant, but Rang smiles like a villain and says she'll know the truth once she checks herself, then lunges forward. Daegwang jumps in front of Yeon, Rang falls, and Yeon rushes to ask if she's okay while the surrounding wolves start whispering like it's free drama night, until someone suddenly panics and says Rang is hurt. Chaos explodes, and the wolves turn on Yeon, blaming her for everything and saying she's no longer welcome. Rang finally speaks and officially kicks Yeon out of the pack, bans her from all pack activities, assigns her a tiny territory, and warns that if she disobeys, she's done for good. Yeon leaves and is sent to the land of the flesh-eating bear, the same monster that took her parents' lives, only to arrive and realize the bear is already gone, which somehow makes things even scarier. She collapses, crying and questioning her entire existence, remembering how Rang used to care for her, how she lost her parents, and how their sister bond completely shattered. After crying it out, Yeon wipes her tears and decides she's not giving up. She'll survive no matter what. But first she needs a safe place to endure the harsh winter, knowing no pack will accept her, and she's completely on her own now. 3 months later, some men are packing up and saying it's time to head back to Taebaek, because the girl disappeared without a trace, joking that Musen must be haunted, when suddenly Hwan stops them and calmly says, "Wait," because he's just spotted a wolf. Hwan quickly tells his guards to look away, as the wolf shifts into a human, and the moment he sees it's Yeon, he lights up, because after months of tearing through mountains like a lost GPS signal, he finally found her and immediately calls her his mate. Flashback to 3 months earlier, Juan and his guards are moving around in wolf form when one guard asks if he really plans to ignore the local wolves, especially since there's a pack led by a young female and they should at least know who dealt with the flesh-eating bear. But Juan says he doesn't care about credit and they'll figure it out themselves, because finding his mate matters more. The guard sighs and says everything is always about this mystery mate, questioning how long Juan plans to chase a female he doesn't even know, especially since they settled in Musen because of her and cleared out every dangerous creature in the area. Hwan shuts it down, saying she's the only one who triggered his first intense season, and he'll find her no matter what. One guard switches to human form and carefully says they're not stopping him, but during their long trip from Taebaek, her scent almost vanished, so wandering around like this might not work. Then another guard cuts in, tells them to grab food, and leaves Hwan to think. Hwan turns human, sighs, and remembers that powerful, sweet scent hitting him like a truck the first time, promising himself he'll search every corner of the land to find her. And that was just 3 months ago. Back in the present, Hwan suddenly tells Yeon she's doing everything wrong, which makes her freeze and spin around in shock, and he immediately softens and asks if she's okay. Yeon starts panicking in her head, wondering who this man is, because the place has been empty for months. So is he really the owner, while Hwan is thinking the exact opposite and wondering if she can even talk, until he spots her scent pouch and realizes that's why her presence almost disappeared. Yeon decides he looks way too scary to outrun, so instead of bolting, she asks who he is, and Hwan is instantly pleased, happily saying he's the owner of the house. That answer hits her hard, because she suddenly remembers all the acorns and meat she stacked inside after surviving winter on pure willpower, and now she thinks she's about to get kicked out, so she breaks down crying. Hwan is completely thrown off by the tears as Yeon drops to her knees and apologizes, explaining she grew up in the mountains, lost her parents to the wild bear of Musen, was abandoned by those she trusted, and only stayed here because she thought the house was empty and a gift from fate to survive the cold season. She begs him to show mercy because she has nowhere else to go, and instead of yelling, Hwan calmly says the place has been neglected for a while, he has people to look after, and honestly could use some help through the winter, and she looks perfect for it. Yeon freezes, he smiles, and says it would make him very happy if she stayed with him for the winter. Later that night, he lights a fire and Yeon is amazed that warmth can rise from the floor, mentally filing that under human magic, while thinking about his name, Hwan, and how strangely nice he smells, wondering if all human men are like that. She reminds herself that if things go wrong, she can always turn into a wolf and run, so for now she'll just observe, but just as she settles in, she hears a strange noise, worries he might be unwell, or some high-status human, who pushed himself too hard climbing the mountain alone, peeks through the door, and is left completely shocked by what she sees. The next morning, Master Hwan introduces Yeon to his companions, and she immediately judges them by their outfits, thinking the one dressed fancy must be higher ranked and also older than Hwan. She politely greets him and thanks him for letting her stay, and Hwan quickly explains that the older man is his elder brother, Geungil, who calmly greets her back. Hwan then points to the other guy and says he's their servant, Jin Pal, who instantly argues with him through silent talk, saying they just grabbed random clothes. So why is he saying that? And Hwan quickly shuts him up. Hwan mutters that they are all beastkin anyway, so why are they even pretending to be humans? And Geungil replies that he doesn't need to understand it, he just needs to accept it. Geungil politely asks if Yeon finds their humble home comfortable, and she thanks them for their kindness, but Hwan suddenly cuts in and asks if Geungil didn't have something very urgent to do, like hunting or going to the market, anything that requires leaving right now. Goongil immediately catches on, says something urgent just came up, calls Jinpal, and the two leave, with Hwan saying he'll see them after sunset, while Yeon politely tells them to be safe. Once they are gone, Hwan cheerfully points out that it's just the two of them now, which makes Yeon feel awkward as she keeps remembering last night, so she tells herself to stop thinking nonsense and stay busy. She asks if she can clean the house since his companions are gone, and Hwan is completely confused, asking what, so she repeats herself, asking what work he wants her to do. Hwan suddenly gets serious, says he has a very important task for her, changes his clothes, tells her to sit down and watch him closely, and announces that from now on, he'll be very strict about chores, while Yeon quietly wonders how sitting down somehow became hard work. Hwan casually says he might slack off, miss a few spots, or even cause a little trouble when she's not looking, then asks if she thinks he's doing a good job so far, while Yeon is internally screaming at herself to stop staring before her tail pops out. Right on cue, Goongil and Jinpal suddenly return, and Yeon asks what they brought, as Hwan steps outside, clearly annoyed that they can't take a hint. Jinpal proudly announces he caught something amazing. Hwan pretends to be thrilled they made it back before sunset, and Goongil silently regrets not coming back later. Yeon is shocked to see pheasants and asks how they even found that in winter, then immediately offers to clean the furnace and start cooking, with Jinpal happily agreeing. Hwan sighs and says wolves will be wolves. He should have known hunting would excite her more than sweeping floors. Once the meal is ready, they all sit down, and Yeon wonders how long it's been since she last had a real meal, then realizes no one is eating. She asks Hwan if he's not going to eat, and he says not before her, making her think humans must have very strange rules since Omega wolves always eat last. She finally takes a bite, and Hwan immediately starts asking if it's good while piling more food onto her plate, thinking to himself that she wasn't sick at all, just carefully rationing food, which somehow makes her even more precious to him. He casually promises to make her beef ribs next time, which leaves her completely confused. Later, she nervously asks if he's sure about the sleeping arrangements and offers to take the smaller room, but Hwan shuts that down, saying a lady shouldn't sleep in the cold. She asks how 3 grown men will fit in the tiny room, and Hwan calmly suggests that Jinpal and Goongil can sleep outside, or maybe he could just sleep right next to her. Yeon turns bright red after his bold comment, quickly excuses herself to use the outhouse, and escapes, while Jinpal immediately asks if they can finally eat, and Hwan stands there thinking to himself how someone can possibly be that adorable. The next morning, Hwan and Yeon head out together, and he cheerfully says the weather is especially nice, while Yeon quietly wonders if humans have very strange standards for nice weather. He warns her that the path is slippery and tells her to take his hand, and as they walk, she keeps wondering why he brought her hunting when he's already good at everything, from chores to tracking, and even knows the mountains like a true beastskin. She also plans to finally ask him about what she saw that night, but before she can, he seriously warns her to be careful in this area, saying that even if the predators are gone, the land itself still feels dark and heavy. She mentions the nearby bear's den, tells him she saw its remains, and admits that's where her fear came from since she lost her parents to a bear, making Hwan quietly apologize for bringing it up. She says she's fine, but admits that everything went downhill after that moment, when suddenly she feels a raindrop, asks if he felt it too, and instantly the rain starts pouring like the sky flipped a switch. She tells him they need shelter, he calls her name and tells her to stop, she asks why, slips, starts falling, wonders if she should turn into a wolf, and is immediately caught by Hwan like a perfect dramatic save. Far away, Jinpal complains that the rain came out of nowhere, Goongil agrees and hopes the boss and Lady Yeon are safe, while Jinpal casually says Hwan probably already took off his clothes to shield her. In a nearby cave, Hwan tells Yeon to wrap her small injury with part of his clothing, she worries he'll be cold, and he casually says he feels refreshed and that they should wait there until the rain stops. Yeon realizes that if she had fallen alone, she might have been badly hurt, but thanks to him she's completely fine, and despite knowing him for only a few days, he's already shown her more warmth than her own pack ever did. She slowly leans closer, looks at him, and finally asks why he said her name that night. Hwan freezes when she asks, flashes back to that night for half a second, and Yeon calmly explains that she saw him calling her name while doing something very suspicious, which sends his brain into full panic mode as he wonders how on earth he's supposed to explain himself. But before he can come up with a single excuse, she leans closer. He stops thinking entirely, and they end up kissing. Later that night in her room, Yeon replays everything in her head and wonders if Hwan actually likes her, then immediately tells herself to be serious because she hasn't done anything amazing enough to deserve that. She knows what makes wolves fall in love, or at least she thinks she does, but that's for wolves, not humans, and now she's stuck asking the real scary question, did she fall for him too? She did kiss him, and she didn't hate it at all, but that's not even the biggest problem, because Hwan is human, so what is she supposed to do with these feelings? She remembers hearing about beastskin, who hide among humans, but never about humans and beastskin being together, and Rank's voice echoes in her head, saying that if humans ever find out the truth, they either run away or attack, and among all those outcomes, love is definitely not one of them, meaning this feeling has no future at all.
Our main guy offers her a strange red drink and calmly pours it into her cup. He tells her the first cup feels light, the second comes quickly, and by the third, the whole world starts spinning like nothing matters anymore. Moments later, our girl sits there with red cheeks and tiny hiccups as the drink finally hits her. She points at Master Hwan and starts mumbling nonsense, leaving our guy completely confused. He gently grabs her hand and admits these past few days have been difficult because of her. He complains that she keeps hiding everything from him, so how is he supposed to understand her feelings? He softly tells her to ask for anything she wants, but instead of answering properly, our girl slowly drops her head onto the table and admits the real problem is everything happening around them. Our guy raises his brows and waits for her to continue, but out of nowhere, she smacks him so hard that he crashes onto the floor. She marches toward him and finally admits that she cannot stop thinking about him anymore, no matter how hard she tries. Hearing that, our guy immediately calls her name and throws a cold glare at everyone inside the hut, silently ordering them to disappear at once. The moment they leave, he turns back to her with a sly smile and teases her for being unable to get him out of her head. Our girl instantly turns red and shyly admits it is true. She knows they will soon go their separate ways, and she keeps trying to control her feelings, but after everything that happened inside the cave, her thoughts become a complete mess. Their emotions finally overflow, and after making sure she truly agrees, the two grow much closer. In that moment, our guy suddenly realizes the scent pouch has been hiding her presence from him this whole time. Without hesitation, he tears it from her neck and tosses it aside, leaving our girl completely shocked. She quickly grows embarrassed and apologizes, worried about the strange scent, but our guy only looks confused and calmly explains how wolves recognize one another. Hearing his words only makes our girl even more flustered as her thoughts turn into a complete mess. The next morning, our girl slowly wakes up as sunlight shines directly into her eyes. Still half asleep, she notices Master Hwan sitting beside her and cannot help admiring how handsome he looks. The moment reality hits her, she instantly sits up in shock with a bright red face. Our guy only laughs softly, pulls her into a hug, and teases her for suddenly acting shy after everything they shared last night. Our girl becomes so flustered that she cannot even form a proper sentence. Seeing her panic, our guy jokingly asks if she plans to blame the drink and pretend she remembers nothing. She quickly denies it while hiding her burning face. Then his expression suddenly turns serious as he promises that he will stay beside her through every season, no matter how much time passes. Before she can even process his words, he casually asks if they should get married to celebrate their bond. Our girl nearly jumps out of bed in complete shock after hearing that. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the forest, a tiny bunny nervously asks a squirrel if they are heading the right way, and the squirrel excitedly points ahead, saying their destination is just over there. A deer walking beside the other animals happily admires the beautiful scene while a fox proudly agrees with a huge grin on its face. Moments later, our gorgeous girl appears in stunning wedding clothes, and right after that, our handsome main guy shows up dressed just as perfectly. The two keep stealing shy glances at each other until Jean Pal loudly clears his throat to bring their focus back to the ceremony. He begins talking about how the bride and groom must stay together through rain, snow, storms, and every hardship life throws at them. While Jinpal keeps rambling in the background, our guy quietly leans closer and asks if she is feeling nervous. Our girl honestly admits that she is, then suddenly asks if he is truly certain about marrying her. His expression instantly freezes as he questions why she would even think that. Sweating from nervousness, our girl explains that although she works hard and handles chores well, she is not strong like the others. She promises to support him however she can, but deep down, she worries that she may not be good enough to become his partner. Our guy gently stops her from doubting herself and tells her not to worry because he already has enough strength for both of them. Then he jokingly warns her not to disappear again or go looking for another man after spending so much time together. His playful smile suddenly turns serious as he promises that if she ever runs away again, he will search every corner of the mountain until he finds her, no matter what. Our girl becomes confused by his words, but when he asks if she understands, she quietly nods. Satisfied, Jinpal suddenly claps his hands and announces the final step of the ceremony. The newlyweds raise their white cups together and drink the wedding tea while everyone wishes them happiness that lasts until they grow old together. Right after that, our guy softly calls her name and suggests making a fun bet about when the first snow of winter will arrive. He promises that whoever guesses correctly can ask for any wish they want. Later that night, our guy sends his two companions away and tells them to head down to the marketplace together and enjoy themselves for a while. He casually mentions that 2 weeks should be enough, although staying away even longer would be much better for him. Jinpal quickly agrees, and our main guy immediately waves both companions away. As they leave, Jinpal quietly admits that the boss feels completely different lately. The older wolf looks confused and asks what exactly he means by that. Struggling to explain it properly, Jinpal finally says that their leader now carries an overwhelming presence that never existed before. Ever since spending the night with Lady Yeon, his energy feels so intense that it spreads across the entire mountain. Jinpal even starts wondering if Lady Yeon can survive staying alone with the boss for a full 2 weeks. Back inside the hut, our guy calmly walks toward our girl with a satisfied smile and reminds her that the two of them are finally alone in the house. Soft flower petals suddenly fall around them, scattered by their tiny sparrow friends, making the moment feel even more romantic. We see our guy standing at the doorway with one hand on his head as he happily reminds Lady Yeon that the two of them are finally alone in the house. But the moment he sees her waiting there, he suddenly stops talking completely. Our girl looks just as surprised and softly welcomes him back home. The second she calls him by his title, our guy gives up trying to stay calm and rushes forward to pull her into a tight hug. Completely mesmerized by her beauty, he admits that she looks absolutely breathtaking. He leans closer and kisses her, instantly making her face turn bright red. Still flustered, our girl quickly stops him and shyly asks for a favor. Curious, our guy asks what she wants, and she nervously admits that she really wants to see his wolf form at least once. She quickly explains that she is only curious and does not want him misunderstanding her request. Our guy smirks and agrees before transforming into a massive black wolf with glowing red eyes. The moment our girl sees him, she freezes in shock and realizes he looks even larger than a tiger. The giant wolf slowly walks toward her before suddenly licking her face in a playful way. Our girl bursts into laughter and tries pushing him away while complaining that it tickles too much. Our girl gently pets him in his wolf form and softly thanks him for everything, for keeping her warm through the cold winter, for showing her more care than she feels she deserves, and for standing beside her as her partner today, tomorrow, and always. Suddenly she hears his voice inside her mind, and he also thanks her in return. Confused, she asks how that is possible since she could not use wolf telepathy after leaving her sister's pack. He explains through their bond that she is now his mate and he is hers, so it is natural that they now share the same pack connection. Then he calmly asks if she understands and calls her his wife. Our girl repeats the word in her mind and slowly realizes she has finally found a new pack, not one she was forced into, but one she truly belongs to with someone she loves. Our guide gently warns her that he is not as gentle as she thinks, calling her Lady Yeon, and admits he is actually selfish, stubborn, and has a strong temper, someone who never lets go of what he claims as his. Our guy calmly tells her that even if he is a difficult wolf in many ways, he promises to always treat her well for the rest of his life. He will not let stubborn pride hurt her, and she will always come first no matter what. In response, our girl suddenly shifts into her wolf form, a beautiful navy blue wolf with a white underside, and the two gently touch noses as emotions build between them. A tear slips from her eye as she softly calls his name and vows to stay his mate forever. Later, she walks through a wide green meadow under clear skies, feeling the peaceful weather and thinking she needs to gather as much fish as possible before he returns, remembering he went to the marketplace to meet Gil and Jean Pal. Then she blushes as she realizes she has mostly just been cared for and given food like berries and meat without giving much back, and as she thinks deeper, memories of the past 2 weeks flood her mind. Yeon quickly pushes away the embarrassing memories and decides she will not go back until she catches something, maybe a big river eel or at least a small fish, so she sets the bait on her fishing rod and lowers it into the water, waiting for a long time with no luck for about 2 hours. Then she sighs and thinks that if this still does not work she will just turn into her wolf form and scoop the fish into the bucket directly. Suddenly she notices someone approaching in the water and looks up to see her sister's mate calling her name and saying it has been a long time since they met. Her sister's mate reaches out toward her in the water and asks how long it has been since they last met. Then he complains that he has been trying to speak to her through their mind link, but she is not responding, so he wonders why she only reacts when he speaks out loud. Our protagonist panics internally and stays silent. He keeps calling her name and tells her not to just stand there, but to answer him. He sighs in relief and says he has been searching for her for a long time and has been worried about her. But before he can continue, she suddenly jumps out of the water and bolts away in wolf form, thinking in fear that she cannot be caught by him. Then a large red wolf suddenly crashes into her and pins her down. She realizes that when they were still in the same pack, she could understand him clearly, but now everything feels different. He shifts back into human form and calls her name loudly, demanding that she respond. Then he asks again if she truly does not understand him, and leans in to sniff her before frowning and asking what that strong male scent on her is, saying she is completely covered in it. She struggles and tries to push him away, but he suddenly snaps and shouts if she has started a new bond with another family behind his back. Our girl fires back in anger, telling him to get off her and questioning why he even cares at all, reminding him that he once went after other women despite having a mate, so he has no right to judge her. In a burst of rage, she shifts back into her human form and strikes him with all her strength, making him bend over in pain. She quickly retreats behind a tree and yells at him to leave her alone, saying she has nothing more to say to him. He grits his teeth and insists she listen, claiming he convinced Rain to forgive her and even got permission to bring her back. Then he coldly adds that since she could not have pups this mating season, he proposed they try to have them through her instead, and his words shock her deeply, making her shiver in disgust. She lashes out and insults him harshly. He stutters in disbelief, asking what she just said and reminding her that he is her brother-in-law. She cuts him off immediately and tells him not to be ridiculous, saying she already has a husband and even went through a wedding ceremony, so she has no reason to deal with him anymore. Her sister's mate freezes for a moment, repeating the word husband in shock before his expression darkens as he accuses her of betrayal and gets furious, claiming she was always his and belongs to his pack alone. He steps closer, but she warns him to stay back and not come near her. He ignores her warning and insists she is only acting confused because she does not understand yet, saying that once they are together she will fully accept him. Yeon immediately realizes his eyes look unstable and filled with obsession, and panic hits her as she understands she needs to run, but her body will not respond. Fear sets in as he reaches out to grab her. Yeon panics and silently pleads for help, and right at that moment our main guy arrives, instantly pushing the unwanted male away so hard that he is thrown back. Then he coldly insults him before turning to her, quickly removing his jacket and placing it over her shoulders as he checks if she is injured anywhere and apologizes for being late, telling her to wait just a moment. Then he shifts into his wolf form and lets out a fierce growl as he faces the attacker. Both wolves clash in a violent fight across the ground until our main wolf gains the upper hand. He then sends a calm message through their bond telling Lady Yeon that it is over. But suddenly the red wolf forces himself back up and charges. Again with rage. While far away his companions notice something is wrong and feel uneasy about the situation. Our girl shouts as the red wolf suddenly attacks and injures our main guy's back, then the red wolf quickly escapes while our guy coldly insults him. Our girl panics and calls out, asking where he is going when he is already hurt. He calmly assures her it is nothing serious and tells her to return home, saying he will handle it quickly. Before he can finish speaking, she firmly refuses and insists that if he is going, she is going with him because this is her issue too. Then he suddenly turns and playfully licks her face, saying that this is exactly why he is completely in love with her, before telling her there is no time to waste and they must follow the trail immediately or it will be too late. So the two of them continue on foot in human form through the forest. Yeon silently thinks she wants to prove that she has truly changed this time, feeling a bit unsure since it is her first time walking this path. She then wonders if this is where Rang's pack is staying, questions what happened to their old territory, why they moved here, and if this place is even big enough for everyone to live together. The wolves around them growl as tension builds. Hwan quickly notices our girl's uneasiness and asks if she is alright, telling her she can still turn back if she feels uncomfortable. She firmly refuses and says that if she leaves and he gets hurt, she would never forgive herself. Her eyes burn with determination as she warns that anyone who dares touch even a hair on him will regret it. He chuckles softly and teases her, asking if she really likes his looks that much, then admits he already knows the answer but still enjoys hearing it from her, calling her Lady Yeon as he stares at her, making her blush. He then shifts into his wolf form and tells her to call for him if he is ever in danger. At that moment, she finally realizes how overwhelmingly strong he is, as he easily dominates the other wolves without struggle. Suddenly, the alpha appears and coldly says she was wondering where that foul smell was coming from, accusing them of bringing unwanted intruders into her territory. Yeon jolts in surprise, then calmly replies that maybe she should have kept his male on a tighter leash, Rang, hinting that once again her sister's troublesome mate is the one causing chaos by coming after her. She never wants anything to do with her sister again, she only wants a new life with the gentle wolf she met. But deep down, she still does not understand why her sister hates her so much. Our guy then shifts back into human form and mentions something he heard while roaming the mountains looking for his mate. He says he came across talk from other beasts about a wolf pack whose leader reacts strongly whenever complete human transformation is mentioned. She claims it is pride in being a wolf, but her reaction feels forced, and some even suspect she cannot fully become human herself. Our girl pauses and starts recalling the past. She remembers telling her sister to look at her, saying she can now fully hide her tail and ears. Then her sister's mate loudly calls out for his pretty little Yeon, making her sigh in frustration. She even tries to include her sister in a casual invite to play with Daegwang, but Rang coldly refuses. Our girl's face turns red in embarrassment. Suddenly, members of the pack react in shock, whispering in disbelief that Rang and Daegwang are involved together, calling it impossible. Our girl tries again to get her sister's attention, but the alpha brushes her off and tells her that if it is not urgent, she should speak later, then scolds her, reminding her that she is a wolf and should act like one, questioning if she really believes she is human. Our girl slowly connects everything and reacts in shock, realizing she was pushed aside over something so small. Rang lets out a bitter laugh and mocks the word trivial, saying it is easy for her to call it unimportant since she has always had everything she wanted, her tone filled with resentment. The alpha coldly says it is easy for her to call it trivial because she has always had everything, calling her attitude disgusting, and this pushes our girl to shout her sister's name in pure disbelief, realizing she is already exhausted from leading the pack against her will, yet her own sister has become nothing but a burden. The alpha continues bitterly, saying she once went after that foolish wolf only to find him empty and useless, but now it seems her sister has been living well and even found a new mate. At that moment Hwan shifts back into human form and steps forward, glaring sharply at the alpha, warning her in a dangerous tone that if she says one more word he will wipe out the entire pack and personally take her life himself. Yeon stands behind her mate and quietly grips his hand as he continues speaking. He points out that many wolves in the pack can fully take human form but have been hiding it all this time, living as if they cannot. He explains that this likely happened because of pressure from their alpha, and says that if she had been honest from the beginning and asked for help, things would never have become this bad. He adds that Lady Yeon is not the type to abandon her own kind, then calmly asks if the alpha still has anything left to say. Rang's expression turns dark at his words. Her mate, still in wolf form, calls out in shock and asks if what he is hearing is really true. The pack members look at their alpha with mixed emotions, while our girl tightens her fist in silence. In the end, she shifts into her wolf form and suddenly runs away, leaving the tense scene behind. Yeon pauses and asks what just happened, still trying to process everything. Suddenly, snow begins to fall from the sky, and she softly calls her mate's attention to it, realizing it is the first snow of the season. After that day, her sister's pack is quietly absorbed into Master Hwan's group, but he does not take the role of alpha. Instead, he says he cannot be bothered to manage all of them, adding that his patience only lasts until the end of winter. This leads to the formation of a new faction. One of his companions quietly tells our girl that there are already several similar factions, maybe 3 or 4 just in Hanyang alone. She slowly realizes that Master Hwan is far more powerful than she ever imagined. As for Rang, she disappears without a trace after that day, and Daegwang, along with the others from her pack, is also nowhere to be seen. Jinpao casually puts his hands behind his head and jokes that maybe they were sent all the way to Mount Baekdu. Our girl calmly admits that, honestly, she feels neither worry nor pity for what happened to them. She chooses not to dwell on it and moves on quietly. Our guy then sends his companions away so he can be alone with her and says he also wants to grow stronger, to become worthy of standing beside Master Hwan. Suddenly, he tells her he can see everything, and she asks in confusion what he means. He points to marks on her skin, making her blush instantly, and teases her that it is her own fault for pushing him too much through the night. The scene shifts as the couple share an intimate moment, and our girl turns her face away in embarrassment while he smiles and calls her adorable, gently kissing her cheek. Then he brings up a promise, asking if she has forgotten her wish, and she repeats it in confusion. He tells her they should meet again that night, just the two of them, with no one else around knowing. We see our favorite couple sharing a drink from a white cup when our guy suddenly calls her name and suggests a bet. She repeats in surprise, and he explains that they should guess when the first snow of winter will fall, with a wish as the prize for the correct answer. He confidently predicts it will fall in 2 weeks, while she thinks for a moment and guesses 20 days. Then the scene shifts to the present, where snow is already falling. Hwan leans closer to her, pointing out that it is the 15th day, meaning he has won the bet. He calmly asks for his wish, saying he wants to go to the festival with her, alone, just the two of them. Later at the festival, he suddenly stops walking, turns to her, and laughs softly, asking why she keeps stopping. He gently takes her hand, and she admits she feels awkward being there. She hugs him tightly and admits she has never dressed up like this before, saying she feels like everyone is looking at her strangely. He reassures her that they are only staring because she is too beautiful to ignore. Then he points ahead and tells her to look, showing her crowds of people enjoying the festival, which makes her eyes light up as she realizes this is what humans call a festival, full of life, color, and happiness. She smiles and says it feels lively and joyful. He then asks if they should slowly walk through the stalls together, and she happily agrees. So they explore lantern lighting, snacks, and small games. Later, as she rests for a moment, he quietly comes up behind her and gently places a flower in her hair. She asks what it is, and he explains he secretly went to buy it while she was distracted, saying he just knew it would suit her perfectly. She is surprised and asks when he even left, then softly admits it is beautiful but realizes she has nothing to give him in return. He gently tells her that her presence alone is the greatest gift he could ever receive. Then he asks if she has ever wondered how he ended up falling for her. He holds her hand as she admits she has thought about it many times, especially why he once told her never to run away. He explains that months before meeting her, he once caught a strange scent that made him freeze on the spot, something he had never smelled before, and he instantly knew it belonged to his destined mate, so he began traveling everywhere searching for her. But one day the scent suddenly disappeared as if it had been hidden away, leaving no trace. Yeon slowly realizes something and asks if it could be because of her scent pouch, and he confirms that it is exactly why he lost her trail, saying that after all his searching, he eventually found her again as if guided by fate. She softly asks if he fell for her just because of her scent, and he honestly admits that it was part of it, but as time passed and he watched her courage, kindness, and strong will, he found himself falling deeper and deeper in love with her beyond anything else. He gently kisses the back of her hand and reminds her that even in this moment, he is still by her side. Our girl suddenly calls his name when she notices a ring on her finger. He explains that among humans, couples who promise their future together wear a ring on the fourth finger. He says he was so eager to be tied to her that he already went ahead with the ceremony, but he still wanted to show her his full sincerity. Overwhelmed with emotion, Yeon hugs him tightly and knocks him down to the ground. He laughs softly and pats her head, admitting that if she is this touched, then he himself feels a bit shy as well. The story shifts into a quiet, tender moment as the couple grow closer and share a deeply emotional connection, showing how strong their bond has become after everything they've been through together. Our girl pouts and admits that something has been bothering her lately, maybe even something connected to that night, though her husband already explained it to her before. But she quickly dismisses that thought because her real concern is something else. She watches women from her former pack openly admire her husband. One of them asks how someone can be that handsome, while another says she has never seen such an outstanding male before and adds that he is also extremely strong. They continue praising him, saying his presence alone is hard to ignore and his charm draws everyone in, especially when he smiles, which makes him even more attractive, leaving our girl feeling uneasy as she watches them talk about him. In the end, her feelings become clear as she thinks that it is all because of his striking presence and charm that she wants him all to herself, silently claiming that he is hers alone. Meanwhile, Jin-pal tells our main guy that the firewood is enough and they only need to store it properly, then he notices him smiling and asks what is so funny, but our guy brushes it off and says it is nothing, still smiling as he proudly says his maid is incredibly lovely. Then he heads toward the forest, saying he will bring back beef ribs since they are her favorite, while one companion asks about cleaning up the area. Our guy calmly replies that they should handle it and make a proper plan for the remaining group, whether to lead them to a new territory or not is their decision, but he trusts them to handle it, and finally he adds that he wants to spend the rest of his life alone with Lady Yeon, and the sooner that peaceful life begins, the better. The older companion asks if he is really sure about going hunting alone, but our main guy confidently insists that of course he must go by himself, saying how else will he impress Lady Yeon by bringing everything down on his own. Then he glances toward her and thinks that if her mood stays like this, she will definitely be eager for him later tonight, and he smirks, wishing the night would come faster. Later that night, his companions carry him back after an incident, and our girl immediately senses danger, remembering how her uncle once stepped into a human trap and lost his life. Women gather around asking what is happening, but she sharply tells them to stay back and orders his companions to take him straight to his room. Once inside, his wound is cleaned and he is made to rest. And the older companion calmly explains to our girl that he needs complete rest for now and she must make sure no water touches his injury. Meanwhile, our guy feels completely embarrassed, thinking he looks weak and unworthy in front of Lady Yeon, and he cannot even bring himself to meet her eyes. So he lies there full of frustration and shame. Then suddenly, our girl enters the room, and he quickly pretends to be asleep. She quietly kneels beside him and checks his condition, noticing cold sweat on his body. She calmly thinks that in moments like this, it would be easier for him to endure the pain if he shifts into his wolf form, since beast form can handle pain better than human form. She gently touches him and considers helping him transform if he cannot do it on his own. They become intimate. After their time together, our main guy suddenly feels the pain hit him all at once, and his body struggles as the injury finally catches up with him. After their time together, the story moves forward by 1 year, and we see our main guy gently carrying their cute baby in his arms. A butterfly lands softly on the child's nose, and he smiles warmly, saying even butterflies seem to notice how sweet their little Yeon is. He lovingly admires the baby's round eyes, small nose, and soft cheeks, then turns to our girl and asks if she agrees. She blushes and quietly says yes. He smiles again and asks if she is hungry. She answers no. Then he asks if she is sleepy, and she again says no, as the peaceful moment continues with their little family together. She gently asks if Yeon is getting heavy and offers to hold the baby for a while, but our guy confidently says the baby is as light as a feather. Then he quietly thinks that something feels off. At first, he thought it was just his imagination, but lately, Lady Yeon really feels different from before. Even though their days are filled with happiness after the birth and settling into a new place, he starts wondering what could be wrong. Later, Hwan sits with his companions sharing a drink. Jinpal suddenly points at him and asks how he does not understand something so obvious. Our guy repeats the word obvious in confusion and asks what he means. Jinpal explains that Lady Yeon is probably feeling tired of him, saying he has seen this before, that even when two people love each other deeply, there comes a time when one of them grows weary. He adds that there was even a recent incident in their pack where a man was desperately trying to hold on to a woman who wanted to leave. Our guy looks down, clearly unsettled by what he hears, and asks what he should do in a situation like that. Jinpal explains that during this phase, couples may not even want to talk. Even simple things like eating or small habits can start to feel irritating, and eventually, even just hearing the other person breathe can become frustrating. This makes our guy silently recall moments where our girl seemed annoyed with everything about him. The older companion quickly cuts in, telling him to ignore Jinpal because he is probably overthinking things. But our alpha still looks worried and asks if there is truly nothing they can do and if they should at least try to find a solution. Jinpal thinks for a moment and asks if he is really willing to follow any advice exactly as told. The older companion immediately senses danger and says he has a bad feeling about this. Meanwhile, Yeon steps out of a building looking flushed, sweaty, and exhausted. She thinks that it has already been going on for several months, and wonders what she will do if tonight becomes the same as every other night. Then she suddenly notices a lit candle placed on the ground ahead of her. She looks around and notices a trail of candles and roses leading forward, and she asks aloud what all of this is. Then she wonders if Master Hwan is behind it, realizing this is why he told her to take her time bathing earlier. She slowly follows the path and opens a door, where she finds our guy standing there, looking strikingly handsome. She breaks into a sweat and asks what he is doing, clearly confused and overwhelmed. Then she questions if she is dreaming, because nothing else makes sense, while elsewhere the older companions struggle in vain to get Yeon to fall asleep. Hwan unexpectedly offers himself to her, thinking she has grown tired of him, but she immediately denies it, saying that is not true. However, he refuses to believe her and insists that her mind seems elsewhere. She looks exhausted, distant, and barely meets his eyes anymore. Then she reminds him of when he turned down her suggestion to be intimate, saying she thought he had become tired of her after Yeon was born. But he quickly explains that he would never feel that way, and that he only held back because he was worried about her health, since it is said that after childbirth a mother must be careful to avoid strain. At that moment, they finally understand the misunderstanding between them and laugh it off together. Then she gently asks if he is ready to lift her spirits, and the scene shifts as the couple share a deeply intimate and emotional moment, clearing all doubts between them. After their time together, the story shifts to night as the couple takes a quiet walk through the forest. He stops at a spot and says this is the place. Our girl looks around in awe and says she never knew such a beautiful field existed nearby, adding that the air feels even fresher here. He suddenly calls her and apologizes, and she looks at him in confusion, asking what he means. He explains that he is sorry it took him so long to find her, saying that if he had met her earlier, she would not have gone through so much hardship and they could have been happy sooner. But she gently stops him and tells him not to think like that, saying she is just grateful that he became her husband no matter how long it took. She quietly adds that even if they had not met at the hut, fate would have eventually brought them together anyway. He smiles and nods, agreeing with her, then says that since they could not meet sooner, they should live happily together for 1,000 years. She softly says she would like that. He then suggests that since they are in such a beautiful field, they should enjoy a run together in their wolf forms. They shift into wolves and run side by side. Through their mind link, she calls his name and says that yesterday, today, and even this moment feel like a dream to her. She reflects that she was once abandoned and alone, but he became her source of warmth in everyday life, and now she wants to spend the rest of her life repaying him as his one and only bride. Their peaceful moment is interrupted when his companions arrive, complaining that they are having fun without them. He asks about their child, and they reassure him that she is safe and well cared for, so there is nothing to worry about. One of them then suggests a bet to see who reaches first since they are all together. They all take off running, one calling it unfair, another telling them to give up. The end. Please support us by subscribing, sharing, clicking on the like button and sharing to your family and friends. We would love to produce longer recaps with your help.